If keeping your camera off feels better and you're more comfortable, feel free to do so. Otherwise, please leave your camera on so that Lizzie and I can see your lovely faces and kind of get feedback. Yeah, I already mentioned Lizzie. I am very, very excited to meet her. We have not met, or we have not really proper chatted. So I'm excited to learn more about her work. She is the global community lead at ADPList. I'm sure she's going to tell us more about that. She's all about empowering people, building meaningful connections, and driving shared impact. We've been talking a bit about impact today. The three pillars she believes make communities thrive. With a knack for aligning business and community goals, she specializes in fostering spaces that spark growth and engagement. And they also drive real results for companies and their users. And so we're going to meet Lizzie in scenes here in the chat. The floor is yours, Lizzie. Take it away.
Okay, thank you so much for such a wonderful intro. And congratulations on Product Hunt. I've been behind the scenes in one of those launches before, and I know how much work it takes. So I'll definitely head to the page and give you guys a vote and comment today. So congrats. Thank you all so much for joining today, wherever you're joining from. Today, we're going to talk about specifically building an in-person global event and community meetup strategy over the course of a year. What's worked, what hasn't. Hopefully you guys can have some takeaways that you can take to your own communities that maybe you're trying to get off the ground or grow. Okay, but first, in the spirit of utilizing butter scenes, I really liked this slide. So I don't know about you guys. I don't know where you're joining from. I'm actually based in Spain. I'm originally from the US. It's been a pretty intense week. So I think let's just take a second and you can put a pin on kind of where you're feeling. I think it's always important to kind of take a moment and reflect, ground ourselves. It's okay if we're not feeling 100%. It's okay if our battery is all the way low. The other thing is this is opt-in and opt-out. So you can engage in throughout this presentation if you want to, ask questions, participate in the questions, participate in things like this. Or if you're feeling more on the low side of energy, just sit back and relax. I have lots of pictures. Hopefully today is inspiring for you guys. I know I'm definitely inspired by the ADPList community every single day, and I hope to do the same. Yeah, great. Okay, so it seems like a lot of us are kind of in the middle. Honestly, I might have been a little bit nice with my energy budget. I'm probably honestly more like 2 right now, given everything that's been going on this week. I just want you all to know that if you're in the world having a rough week, I feel you, I see you. If you're having an amazing week, that's awesome too. So let's continue on. Okay, first of all, who am I? I don't think I've met most of you. So yeah, I'm Lizzie. Thank you for such an amazing intro. Basically, I'm a community builder. So I am a community builder. I also have a bit of a background in design. I'm originally from the US. I've been living in Europe since 2018, Germany, Netherlands, and now I'm based in Barcelona. I've been in the community industry for about 10 years, before community as a thing was really a thing, at least in companies. So it's been really cool over the past year to see it really catch on and formalize. Currently, I obviously work at ADPList as the global community lead. So I lead all of our advocacy and community efforts for growing basically our community of mentors and mentees. And we'll get all into that today. On the personal level, I'm a new mom. I have a 1-year-old who is now walking. So that's basically my life right now. When I'm not chasing around my baby, I'm going to see live music. I am going outside, trying to hike, get into the mountains. And I also just love all things community, genuinely do. Okay, so really quickly, I want us to do a quick reflection on community. I think if you're here, you have some interest, I would say, in community building or being a part of a community. There's a reason you're here. There's a reason you signed up to this session. So I really, really am a fan of kind of taking a minute before we start things like this to reflect on different things. So for example, today, I'd love for us to reflect on what community potentially signifies for each of you. So again, we're utilizing one of these amazing new Butter Scenes tools. So if you would like to participate, the link is in the chat. You can join through there and you'll be able to contribute. So I'd love to hear from you any of your thoughts on the following prompts. So answer one or all. What does community mean to you? Are you currently involved in any communities? Do you identify as being a part of any communities? I would love to hear. Do you find it challenging to connect with communities or find community? I think that that's definitely something I've been hearing in the post-COVID age is people want community, but they're having a really hard time finding it. And I think there's a lot of factors at play. So be curious to hear that. And what do you think makes a community unique? So whatever question calls to you, feel free to answer. I'll give it like 2 minutes. And then, yeah, I would love to hear your responses. Feel free to share anything that you feel like is meaningful to you. Great. So we'll give 2 minutes. I don't think there's music on scenes, if I'm correct. Is there a way to play music? Not sure. If
Not
it's not, it's
yet.
okay.
So not
Yeah,
yet.
no
So we'll have to
worries.
play from computer, Lizzie, and kind of switch the screen sharing. But
Oh, don't worry about it. I could play from the computer. Let's just see if I can pull up something real quick. Let's just be, all right, I'm just gonna go with what I have on my computer right now. Ooh, okay. Amazing. Anna Maria, you're a community lead. Awesome. So great to see other community leads here. That makes me super, super happy. We definitely should connect if we haven't already. Mark says community means connection and shared values. Yeah, religious and professional communities. What makes it unique are how the values are expressed. Totally agree. Daphne, yes, I believe everyone wants community, but we are thinking about the give but are we thinking about the give as much as as what we get? It's so, so, so true. And I think that's something that I've shared over here. I said to me, community means finding people who share similar goals, interests, or values, where the purpose is to create space for both giving and receiving, right? And what's beautiful about being a part of a community is you'll go through different phases where sometimes you're more on the asking end, the receiving end, and sometimes you're more in the giving end. I don't know if you've ever noticed that in the life cycle of communities you're a part of. So many great answers. Stephanie, a group with a shared interest. Yes, ADPList, other design and tech events in Barcelona. Oh, I know who you are, Stephanie. You must be one of our community organizers. I'm so happy to see you here because I'm going to be talking all about people like you today. I find it great for a city for making connections. Amazing. It's all about connection, support, and possibilities to learn by doing. Love it. Being part of the L&D Shakers has really filled my cup. Okay, definitely copying and pasting this one. I want to learn about it after this. I love, love, love hearing about new communities. So it's something that I kind of geek out over. Hi, Erin. I definitely recognize you as well. I'm a community lead too. Natural fit for me. Love it so much. Amazing. Love the balance of power that it provides to a group of people. Totally. It's like true, feels like it's a democratic institution. Amy says I'm a member of 3 communities. I am in the first few months of your own community for business owners transitioning from owning a job to owning a business of value. Cool. Community is a perfect way to collaborate in a safe space for our common goal. These are really great. Oh my goodness. Iona, I think I pronounced it wrong. Feel free to come off mute and let me know. I'm so sorry. Challenges, the very active ones, are difficult to keep up with. Yes, definitely engage less there, especially when they're all online. I know for me, I definitely get overwhelmed when I'm a part of a lot of online communities. I tend to only gravitate to like 1 or 2 tops where I can actually contribute. Amazing. Okay. I see that Faith is here as well. Faith is actually on my team. Thank you so much for being here. These are beautiful. Thank you all so much for sharing. It's really, I feel so grateful also to see some familiar faces here. The community industry is like that, though. We truly are kind of like our own community within itself, which is really cool. Beautiful. Thank you all for sharing. I think a lot of these themes are going to resonate today as we talk about basically what we've been able to witness over the past year at ADPList. It's been unlike anything I've seen in my 10 years of working in community. Okay, so let's start off. ADPList. Some of you here, I think, are familiar with ADP. This one of our amazing community organizers is here, Stephanie. Give it up for Stephanie. She is part of the reason why this has been so successful. For those of you that aren't familiar with ADPList, ADPList is the world's fastest growing mentorship platform. It's a mentorship platform globally for designers, product managers, tech professionals. We now have marketers, we have no coders, and it's all free. So we literally have amazing, talented, experienced people that come onto our platform and they sign up with us to offer their time and their expertise to mentees for free. It is absolutely incredible. It began as a simple spreadsheet in 2020 in the midst of the pandemic. So our co-founders, Felix and James, their goal was pretty straightforward. It was like, if it was super focused on design at first, it's still pretty heavily weighted to design, but we are expanding. It stands for awesome design people. So the goal was simple. It was a spreadsheet. It was like, if you have advice, if you're a designer, you have advice to offer, put your information in this column. If you're seeking advice, put your information in this column. And it was a great way to kind of like support and share and share guidance at a time that was just incredibly uncertain for all of us, right? So it started out as just a spreadsheet. From there, 4 years later, the humble spreadsheet has evolved from a clunky Webflow website into a fully fledged product that we own. This is our own product now and our own platform. But our mission has remained the same, democratizing access to learning and knowledge by offering free career mentorship to those who need it. Okay, we have a tiny team. I think there's 8 of us right now. India, Singapore, Philippines, US, myself in Europe. We also have Nigeria, my team member Faith. It's pretty great. So at this point, we now have over 30,000 mentors in tech. We've witnessed over 1 million minutes of mentorship and 160 countries in the world. What I love about ADPList is how inherently diverse it is, right? In a world where tech can be pretty homogenous, ADPList is not that. We have mentors from all over the world that we get to interact with every single day. It's amazing. It's amazing. Okay, so the ADPList community. What is the ADPList community? What do I do every day as a community lead at this company? So the ADPList community is made up of mentors and mentees, right, across tech community engineering, excuse me, tech design, engineering, product, just like I was just talking about, right? That is our community. Now, when I first joined ADPList, my initial focus was to fully support our mentor community and really focus on our mentor community. We are a super small team, so we always have to work on prioritization. If I could, I would have a full community strategy for our mentees, mentors, but for right at that point, the thought was, hey, listen, on our platform, we know that mentees will always come. It's mentors that are giving their time, their expertise, their talent for free that we really need to nurture, right? And that we really need to support. They can be kind of a dime a dozen. So our goal was, as the community lead, growing the team, create resources, support community that really supports them and helps them to thrive. That was what it initially started out as. So with this, we initially poured our energy into online activation. So we have a Slack group still in existence today, exclusive for mentors, with the goal of connecting our mentors across the globe, right? So it's a safe space for them to come together, talk about mentorship, first of all. Ask for advice. Hey, I'm experiencing this situation with a mentee. Can somebody help me? XYZ. But in addition to that, we tried to do a lot more. We tried to host, ask me anything. We did workshops. We did roundtable discussions. We were doing a lot of things online, and yet nothing was really sticking. But what kept happening is we kept getting requests for meeting other people in person. We just kept having mentors saying, honestly, I just want to know where other mentors and mentees are in Dublin. I want to meet other people in my city. Like, we would have requests all the time that said, can you just give me a list of contacts, right, in my city so I can get together with these mentors? And we were like, well, no, sorry, we can't just give out private information, but let's think for a second of a way we can kind of facilitate this and make it happen. So basically, we developed a very simple solution to enabling them to be able to meet their community ADPList community in person. And that was with kind of this meetup idea, right? So we started with just casual meetups. The idea was we had an initial goal of like a handful of meetups each month. We built a simple but super effective system that empowered our mentors to kind of host these gatherings. The process was super straightforward. We were just like, okay, fill out this form. You choose a date, a time, a location, and then once you share those details with us, we will handle the registration and we will get the word out. We have the distribution. We can help you with that part. So we kept it very bare bones and very simple. We used Luma. We still use Luma today. And we tested it. We said, let's just see, right? We went with where the demand was and we tested it out. In our very first month, we hit our target of 4 meetups. So we proved there was a real appetite for these in-person connections. This early success really helped validate our approach and really set the stage for, honestly, more growth. So we knew that something was happening here. By January 2024, momentum grew really quickly and it completely took off. Thanks to kind of like this ripple effect in our community, our mentors were saying, hey, this city they had a meetup. I want to do that in my city. How can I make that happen? It really just kind of snowballed from there. We went from hosting 4 meetups a month to anywhere between 16 and 24 meetups a month, and it hasn't stopped there. So to really support that, we started to really develop more robust systems, resources to help them become super confident and effective organizers, providing guidance and really helping to amplify their meetups and support them. And we'll get more into this in a minute. This is just kind of like the overview. So then, yeah, this is just a snapshot of what it looks like. Like, how beautiful is this? It makes me so happy to see this. This is all over the world. This is not just the United States. This is not just Europe. This is all over the world, where our community is meeting and gathering and connecting with one another and building that community with each other. April 2024, we started to get even more excitement around meetups and wanting to do more. Basically, what started happening, organizers and community members were coming to us and they were like, this is amazing. We love the meetups. We want to do more. We want to host an event. We want to have a panel. We want to have a speaker. We want to talk about this specific topic. We'd love to put this together. Like, can you plan this for us? Can you help us plan that? With our team at the time, we were just 2 people. And actually, in reality, we were just 1 person at the time. I was actually on maternity leave in January and February, and a few months prior. And my amazing team member, Catherine, huge shout out if she's here, she was single-handedly managing all of this on her own, right? Just shows like you can do a lot with a little, but we also knew once I came back from maternity leave that we really needed to systematize and make processes for everything, which we'll talk about again in a second. So we knew we could not feasibly plan all of these events for everyone. So we thought, how can we though enable our community to do this themselves? And that's where the ambassador program came into being. So in April, we launched the ambassador program. And basically it's become this chapter program where we have 17 official chapters and 80 volunteers, ambassadors leading the way. So this is what it looks like. 17 beautiful chapters. Each chapter is comprised of 5 ambassadors. And each chapter is tasked with basically planning and executing an event every single quarter in their city. So each city has an ambassador team comprised of about 5 people. This is how we make it work, and this is how we make it feasible for everyone, because everyone is volunteering their time, right? 5 ambassadors on each team. Each ambassador has a specific role that has to do with making this event happen and making it a reality. So we have a city host, right? The city host is responsible for making sure everything is moving along. They're like the project manager. They're ensuring everybody's on the same path. They're making sure everybody's meeting regularly. They're helping to unblock things. Then we have a speaker lead, or we're changing it to programming lead now, which means they are responsible for finding the guest for the event. Are you doing a panel event? They help find the panelists. The speaker event, they help find speaker. Workshop facilitators if it's a workshop. Then we have a venue lead and a nourishment lead who work together to find local sponsorship. Because here's the wild thing. is that we don't have an operating budget at ADPList for the community. We have a very small operating budget, mostly for swag. So these ambassadors are actually finding sponsors to offer up their venue, space, their offices, and food for these events. It's incredible. So we have two ambassadors that are responsible for that. And then we have a creative lead, and the creative lead is responsible for helping with the social media. That all of their chapters have LinkedIn pages. They're creating assets, helping with that kind of stuff. Also, they're responsible for finding a photographer for the event or just taking pictures themselves. So with this kind of distributed structure, it's able to work, honestly. And like it's again proven itself. Since April, our ambassadors have hosted over, I think, 20. I actually didn't look at the data for this specific one, but since April, I think it's been over 20 plus events in 17 different cities with 80 plus ambassadors at the helm making all of this happen. And because we've structured it in a way that everybody has a very clearly defined role, it instills a sense of ownership in each of our ambassadors. And also, it helps to really take the load off of everything kind of falling on one person and distributing things evenly so that it feels more feasible for an ambassador to agree to join the program and say, actually, I can manage that. I can manage just finding a venue once a quarter. I can manage just finding speakers, you know? I think that's what's really lent itself to the success of this. So it's been a beautiful thing. Look at this. I just love the pictures. They always bring me so much joy. So that leads us to where we are now, which is actually full circle because today we're now looking at 2025 expanding this program online. We're going to be opening up new ambassador chapters. Meetups are still happening all the time. But we've actually found mentors and mentees coming to us saying, hey, I don't actually live in a city that has enough ADPList people. I really want to try to do something online. I want to host a meetup online. What would that look like? I want to host a panel online. What would that look like? Which is kind of funny because that's what we were trying to make happen from the beginning, but it just wasn't sticking. And the nature of the in-person ambassador program is what's kind of galvanized this online appetite to happen. And so now we're rolling out an online portion of the ambassador program in 2025 to meet the needs of people that aren't necessarily in places where they can meet in person, which is such a cool thing. I've just been so excited to see it. So that's our next chapter. So our program, we wouldn't be able to have done this. Well, actually, first of all, the program itself kind of hopefully paints a picture of like what's possible if you can be resourceful and if you can be kind of dedicated, right? And we're going to talk more about the specifics of how we really did this. But just to give you guys a picture, our budget is basically zero. We do have budget for swag. So we're able to send some simple swag to all of our ambassador chapters, but that's about it. We have 2.5 team members on our community team, myself, Catherine, our amazing community events manager, Faith, our amazing community relations manager, who is with us part-time. And our community has hosted over 200 meetups in the past year and over 82 events in the past year. It's incredible. So basically, how do we manage all of this? How did it come to be? What are the key takeaways? This is what I hope you can take away from this talk, especially for some of you I know that are here, that are involved in community building yourself. I think also there's a lot of companies that are really trying to make in-person happen and don't really know where to begin and also don't know how to really like translate the ROI, which I'm going to talk a bit about ROI at the end because that's also always a hot topic. What are the key takeaways? What did we learn from this so far? And by the way, we are still learning every single day. So I'm not up here speaking as an expert. This is just what we've learned up to this point over the past year. And if I were to give this presentation again in a year, it'll probably look different. But so far, we've had a few key takeaways. The first one is empowering your community members to lead. So this program is community led through and through. Our role as the ADPList community team is to equip these incredible hosts and organizers with tools, with guidance, and honestly, the most important is trust. We want to instill a sense of trust in them that we trust you to take things and run with it. So setting up really structured workflows and systems has allowed them to create impactful events while feeling both supported and also independent. a tangible example of this, we have built a wealth of resources to set our organizers and ambassadors up for success. Many of these people come in, they have no idea about community organizing or planning an event or getting people together or making a networking event meaningful. They just have an appetite to connect with other people. They just want to get together with other people and no one else is raising their hand, so they raise their hand. So we help bridge that gap by creating resources for them to kind of learn and consume in their own time. So we've created like a suite of tools. Our ambassadors have guides, they have pitch decks, they have like, it's basically like event in a box. Each of their roles has a specific resource guide that goes through step by step by step. Here is how you can pitch a potential sponsor. Here are tips for finding really great panelists. Here is a panel guide for, here's a panel brief to send to all of your panelists when you're ready to prepare them for the event. We really like had heads down work for 6 weeks where we just created so many resources, and we still are rolling out resources as we go along. This is all in Notion, by the way. If those of you are not familiar with Notion, that's where we basically do everything. And then we didn't stop there. So a big piece of this is embracing the creativity of our community. So we really want to allow them to shape their own journey as community organizers and builders. So what we're seeing now is a lot of community organizers are coming to us with these ideas and they're like, hey, we really want to host this. We really want to have this idea at this, we want to do this idea at this meetup. And we celebrate that. And the best part is we not only help celebrate them and enable them to do new things, fresh ideas, even just little memorable touches for their events and meetups, then we want to share those ideas with the rest of the community to inspire the rest of our organizers and the rest of our ambassadors. So we create tools like this, which is the Meetup Inspo Corner. So anytime we see an organizer that does something really cool and different and unique at their meetup, we reach out to them, send them so much gratitude. We basically jot down all of the details. Here's how you can do it at your meetup. Here's how you can do it at your event. Here are the details. Here are the supplies that you need, or here's the way to structure it. Here's the person that originally came up with this idea. This is a really great way to facilitate that inspiration and to really set your community members up for success and feeling like they do have a true sense of ownership and that they really are building this thing with you, right? So this is a big part of it as well in terms of enabling your community members to lead. So as a result, we've seen a surge in creative and engaging meetups. We've had art and drawing sessions. We've had park potluck sessions. The one on the far right, this is actually a bulletin board. I thought this was genius because we have a lot of meetups at parks, but they wanted to facilitate some sort of guided questions. And so they created this bulletin board where people could come up and put questions on the board and facilitate just like impromptu discussions with the folks that were there. And from that, it's basically been a snowball effect where other chapters see it and then they want to do an art meetup or a potluck and park meetup. And it's just so cool to see how the ripple and snowball effect has really taken off. So this model is truly by community for the community. It ensures there's this continuous cycle of inspiration and innovation. And honestly, it wouldn't have all worked if we didn't really create kind of like rigid frameworks internally for ourselves, which I'm going to talk about that. The real magic, the sweet sauce really lies in empowering ambassadors to find what works best for them, what works best for the community, and then going off and doing it. Okay, key takeaway 2, systems make scaling possible. So again, we're a tiny team. We got no budget. We're scrappy. We have Notion. That is what we have. And we have email. We have Gmail. So we have created and facilitated, we've created an SOP and a workflow internally for literally everything we do on our team. Meetup and event related or not. We actually have a lot of other things that we do besides events and meetups. But especially for events and meetups, we have processes and systems for everything. So essentially, this not only supports our efforts as a team to be able to support more ambassadors, more chapters being started, more community and meetups happening, without having to grow our team too much or increase operating spend, which there really isn't much right now. So just to give you guys tangible, I like to see tangible examples of things when I'm in like, presentations like this. So again, Notion, it's a beautiful thing. Ambassadors. So when a new ambassador, when we need to recruit for a chapter. So if an ambassador has stepped down from a chapter, then we help our ambassadors recruit for that chapter and say, hey, let's help you find somebody. We have a full playbook for that. It's internal. So our team is the only one that sees that, but it's step by step by step of what we do to ensure that we're continuously recruiting and supporting our chapters. The best part about it is I'm also a huge advocate for work-life balance, for taking time off. And historically, it can be hard to take time off at startups, but I feel proud to say that our team can take time off because we have these systems in place. So if Catherine is taking time off, she just tells me, hey, this is where things are at. And I can go into the playbook and I know exactly what I need to do to make it happen. Again, internal playbook, casual meetups. So this covers everything related to actually facilitating and executing casual meetups for our community members, right? So it has the roles and responsibilities, who's the lead, who's the support, the full 9 yards. We take the time, even though we're a startup and we have so many things happening at once, I prioritize this. We take the time to be detail oriented and to set these SOPs in place. All right, key takeaway 3. We have 2 more key takeaways. The first or the third one is all about recognition. There's many community members here, right? Or community leaders on this talk, based off of what I saw at the beginning when you guys shared some of your insights and thoughts around community and what it means for you. This one is not like a wow. I think most of us know this is so important, but I have to put it in here because it's integral to success. Recognizing, sending gratitude, building relationships. This is the core, right? Taking the time to hop on calls with your organizers, with your ambassadors, getting to know them, right? Expressing gratitude, understanding what their motivation is, understanding what we can do to support them, what's working, what's not working, what's a big audacious idea that they have, this is so important. And I think the core of community work lies in this right here. This is the core of what it means to build community is relationships are everything. So essentially these personal connections really strengthen the program in ways that go far beyond like what metrics and KPIs can show us, but we'll get to that in a second as well, because I have some thoughts on KPIs. So in addition to just constantly checking in with our ambassadors, our organizers to understand their motivations and explore how we can kind of like align our support with what drives them, we also give shout outs on social, we give shout outs on Slack. These are just tangible examples of what that looks like. But in addition to that, you really want to get to the core of what motivates your community members, right? You want to understand what are the intrinsic motivations, maybe also extrinsic motivations for them raising their hand and committing to doing this volunteer thing for you, right? And for the community. So that's a huge one. And we wouldn't understand that if it weren't for these relationships that we were building. Oops, sorry. Next slide. An important note on this is one size does not fit all. So tailoring your recognition to motivation is key. So basically at ADPList, we kind of are a bit different than a lot of companies that I've worked with in my community career. The motivations behind joining the ambassador program, becoming a community organizer, they can vary depending upon the organization. But for ADPList, I think they're really drawn by the altruistic nature of the ADPList mission, right? The ADPList mission is altruistic in nature. It's about giving back. They join because they feel motivated by that mission. It's almost like the same feeling you get when you volunteer, right? You volunteer your time to something that you really support and believe in, and in turn that gives you a sense of satisfaction. It gives you fulfillment, right? When you do something good, when you volunteer. Based off of what we've learned from our ambassadors, that's a big motivator for them. And in addition to that, it's also growing their network, growing their career. Being recognized is a good thing because ADPList is kind of a global name. We have a pretty big following, although of course we could get bigger. But it is important for them to have that recognition. It helps give them some sense of credibility and helps grow their career and network. But mostly they do it because they just believe in what we're trying to accomplish and they want to be a part of it and they want to give back and they want to connect locally with other people that believe in this too. However, at other companies, I've worked at kind of your traditional SaaS companies. Let's use Salesforce as an example. Motivation might is probably going to look different. I don't think that ambassadors like join the Trailblazers community because they like really believe in the Salesforce mission. Like, no, they're not there for that. But they are there for different motivations, probably most likely because they are a Salesforce expert and they want to be recognized as such. And being helpful in the community of support gives them that credibility. A lot of times people are very motivated by feeling like they have a seat at the table of the product direction of a company, right? Feeling like their voice and their expertise really shapes the future of the tools that they use daily. So understanding the varied motivations is essential so you can recognize people appropriately and that you can also build an ambassador or advocacy program that really taps into those motivations. So once you know what drives your community, you can craft proper incentives and recognition that really genuinely matter to them. So the key takeaway is just really know your people, know your community, know what it is that motivates them. Okay, key takeaway 4. This is another one that the community builders here will be like, yep. So build with, not for your community. Okay. We are not, the ADPList community team is not sitting up here on our little hilltop, like, oh, yes, let's just like build this here and build this here and make this happen and make this happen. But we're doing this all for you. It's not like that at all. It is much more of we are all hanging out on the hill together and we're sitting in a big circle or we're sitting in little mini circles. We're like kumbaya, not really, but we are chatting with each other. Hey, what is it that you need? What is it that you want to see happen? Right? I've talked a good bit about this. So collaborating with them, truly listening to their insights, to their feedback. We've been able to create this program that's really succeeded. This program succeeded because there was a demand for it. We were really trying to make online happen and it wasn't happening. The demand initially was for this. And because we're such a small team, we really did have to kind of pivot. We still have online offerings because I do believe in community. You should have different pathways for people to plug in. But if you're a tiny team like we are with limited resources, you have to prioritize. And because we saw that there was so much demand for in person, that's what shifted our priorities and our responsibilities towards really trying to build this with our community. Um, Here are some examples, just some what for some of you that maybe aren't as familiar with community building, or you're wanting to get better at it, or you're wanting to start a community yourself, and you're thinking, okay, I'm going to get started. What does it look like to build with a community? So these are some very tangible examples. Surveys and feedback loops. Consistently have an open feedback loop always going in your community. We send regular surveys. In our ambassador program, we have an open feedback box. Hey, send us a mail, send us your feedback. What's working, what's not? Do you have a suggestion? Always keep that open line of communication going. You can have open forum discussions as well. So if you host your community on a forum or on Slack or on Circle, you can actually have dedicated time to facilitate discussions about the community. Hey, what do we want to do next? What do we feel like is working as a community, and understand the different motivations for different community members, right? So you can facilitate open discussions. You can do co-creating sessions. You could have a specific topic. Let's say like you have the topic of the ambassador program, right? When we were first trying to build this ambassador program, I did co-creation sessions with some of our most engaged mentors that had expressed wanting to do events. And I said, all right, let's get together and talk about this. What would work? What would work for you, you know? So if it weren't for those co-creation sessions, I don't think we would have created a program that really has been successful. Creating ambassador and leadership programs, right? Recognition programs, recognize these folks, giving them place for user generated content. So encouraging your community to basically share their content with you, and then sharing that content to your own networks, right? And then community led initiatives, right? So encouraging your members to really initiate projects, lead meetups, host virtual chats, create interest groups within the community itself. Like, hey, I'm in this big community, but I love knitting and I'd love to just join a micro. I'd love for it to get other knitters in this community together, and let's just get together once a month and knit virtually. That's amazing. I've seen that happen at communities. Like, enable them to do that and feel confident to do it. And if you have to create some systems to make it work, then do that. But then once you create the system once, then they just are they feel supported and they feel like they're trusted to just continue to do it on their own, right? Um, these are some great examples. If you are starting a community from scratch and you're like, where do I get started? And you know, even that in person or online is going to be the thing, I always say just start small first. Don't try to start big, start super small. Get 10 people in a room together, get 10 people in a Slack group together, and utilize some of these suggestions here with them. It doesn't have to be super big. That's how some of the best organic communities I feel like I'm a part of have grown. Okay, we have just a few more minutes. So I want to quickly talk about ROI and then leave a couple minutes for questions. So where's the ROI of all this for those of you that are working at companies and you're doing community and you know very well how difficult it can sometimes be to prove the ROI of stuff like events and meetups. The beauty of community, we all know, is that it has flexibility, it has far-reaching impact. Community can literally touch and impact every department at a company. I truly believe that, and I know that to be a fact, right? Whether it's like ticket deflection on a support forum, or it's finding community qualified leads from a community of practice that your company maybe owns, driving product innovation. Like it really, the value is super tangible. Sometimes it can be hard to really translate it. To be honest, this is a space where at ADPList, we're still working on ourselves because our product is also free. At the time, we haven't monetized it. We've only monetized a very small portion of our product, but it's still about 95% free. So it makes for an interesting use case in this. We just know inherently that community is integral to the success of ADPList. And luckily, our founder, our executive team has bought into that as well. I actually don't have to constantly prove ROI. I actually try to throw numbers at Felix and he's just like, I believe it. It's working. Like, keep doing it. You know, Felix is our co-founder. He truly believes in this. But for us, just to give you an idea of where we've seen impact, first is sponsorship opportunities. Through the event and meetups, the program, basically, we've received a lot of recognition online, on social media, through all of our events that brands are starting to notice, companies are starting to notice, and they want to get a part, they want a part of that. A lot of companies have like tried to make it work themselves and they haven't been able to. And so they're like, hey, ADPList, like you kind of have a similar audience to what we're trying to expect. And we've received sponsorship opportunities for us, which is huge for ADPList where we haven't monetized our product yet. So that's been a direct ROI. Brand sentiment is a big one, right? That's sometimes that can be a fluffy one, but we have seen the community strengthen, and we also survey our community members, all community members once a year. I also survey our ambassadors twice a year. We have different surveys. And the most recent survey has shown that the brand sentiment, the community feels stronger than it's ever felt. And that in turn makes them feel more bought into ADPList. It's really helpful also when you're building something to have people that are bought in, because you're not always going to be able to do the things that your users want you to do. And if you can instill trust with them and instill that loyalty with them from the start, when you say, hey, I know you really wanted this feature or you wanted the direction of the product to go in this direction, but here's the transparency of why we weren't able to make that happen. Like you can be transparent about it and you've already instilled that kind of like loyalty, they will support you. I have seen it happen time and time again. They might not be super happy about it. They'll let you know, but at the end, they'll still stick with you, right? It's also expand our platform reach. So the latest thing we're doing now is in 2025, my goal is to set up a tried and true CRM because we still don't have that because we are still very small. And being able to correlate between product usage and in-person event and meetup usage. It is possible to do this. You can see, oh, this person has gone to 3 meetups and then they've signed up to our product and now they've been retained for 3 months. You can actually see that and you can see the impact of that. This is something we're actively going to be building out in 2025, which is really awesome. So right now we're starting with a tool like Talkbase. We've been able to map our event participation against, or we're starting to map the event participation against the platform activity. The first step is setting up Talkbase, which Talkbase allows us to see how many meetups events we have happening every month, every quarter, every year, how many people are coming back, who are our most retained like attendees at these events. We can also identify community organizers. Who are the organizers that are organizing meetups month over month over month in their cities? How can we recognize them? How can we support them? Do they maybe are they maybe interested in opening a chapter in their city? It helps us to identify where maybe strong chapters could be formed. So then from there, the next phase will be taking that data, plugging it into a CRM that plugs into our product to see the correlation between in-person product, in-person meetups, events, and product usage. You can do it a number of ways though. But this is just what's going to work for ADPList. Okay, that's it. I think I'm right at time. Um, That's it. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to come along this journey, hear more about our wild year that we've had. It's been super fulfilling. I've learned a lot. I've definitely grown in my career. I wouldn't have been able to do it without my team. So I definitely want to give them a shout out. And I can't wait to see like what this next year looks like for us. So yeah, thank you all so much. If you have any questions, I guess, I don't know if there's
We
time,
do,
but
yes, we
yeah.
do have about 10 minutes if we want to take some questions. And feel free to close screen share it if you like, Lizzie. And then we've got 2 questions from Erin in the chat that I'm going to surface. But everyone else, feel free to use the chat to ask Lizzie questions, curiosities, or maybe even add insights, aha moments. Ba, 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 ba. Erin, do you want to ask or should I read them?
Yeah, I can
Hi.
ask. Hey, Lizzie.
Hey.
Um,
Hi,
yeah, I
so good
wanted,
to see you.
hey, you too. Thanks for sharing some of your tactical stuff in Notion. That's also what I want to see. And I
Oh
am
yeah.
I'm with a new company and we're close to launching a community. And so I'm needing to set up things like, well, my first question was about, I'll just stick with that for now. How do you go about identifying the leaders to make these events happen? Because you have it takes a lot of people to put on one event. So how often do you have holes in those teams and how do you go about filling the gaps?
Such a great question. Recruitment for the ambassador program is a big part of our job. Basically, on Wednesdays, I have a reoccurring reminder. Wednesdays is recruitment day. That's the day where we have like a process, we have workflows set up. It's actually some of it's in Google Sheets and some of it's in Notion. I don't love that because I just like everything in one place. But
Yep.
um, and we look at, okay, which chapters, we have, of course, a formalized process. If somebody says, hey, I can't do this anymore, I have life obligations, no problem. We offboard them, we send them an exit survey, and then they basically are put into kind of this workflow and then they're offboarded. And then that kind of triggers the new workflow, which is filling that spot. So it's not perfect. It's actually something we've been working on the past literally 2 weeks to get better at, but it's a mix of a couple of things. So first, it's collaborating really closely with marketing to ensure that the ambassador program is continually getting recognized. So we are every week, for example, we have a Substack that goes out to our community. Every week, I will tell Felix, who does our marketing and our Substack, hey, here are the cities where we're recruiting right now. Can you put a post in the Substack, a CTA, want to join the ambassador program? Here are the cities where we're currently recruiting. We actually get any links it to our application and the website where it has all the information. We get a pretty steady stream of people through there every single week, which kind of helps to fuel the engine. So if we do see people come in, then that triggers reaching out to them. We have a whole system for that recruitment process of reaching out to an interested person. We get them on a call with actually the city host. We try to keep things as like hands off as possible so that we can scale this thing eventually to like as many chapters as we want. So we set them up with a city host, et cetera, et cetera. And then eventually we onboard them into the program. So it's marketing is a big one, ensuring that the ambassador program is getting continuous coverage, right? We have several different, we have like every month we have different content buckets just for the ambassador program to showcase this thing. And then in addition to that, we also encourage our ambassadors who are doing events to also host meetups and to recruit at their events and meetups. So they're responsible for one event a quarter, but they actually do meetups in between them, we're noticing, because meetups are pretty easy, right? It's where you just like pick a bar, go to a park, we get the registration out for you. So then we encourage them to pitch the ambassador program at the meetups and events itself. Hey, do you like what you're seeing? We actually have a spot available. We would love for you to join us. Come talk to us and I'll connect you with Lizzie. That gets a good steady stream of people. Those two so far have kept the engine kind of running. And then we're going to do a few like big splashes throughout the year to like kind of relaunch the whole program to hopefully get an even more like influx of people applying. And then we can also look at our product usage if we get really desperate and be like, okay, who are our most engaged mentors and mentees in a specific city? And we can reach out to them and say, hey, you're an amazing part of this community. I don't know if you've heard of this program, XYZ, but that's my least favorite option because I prefer to not ask and instead answer, right? Because I think we know this as community people. If you kind of have to keep asking people, they're not really motivated to want to do it. So
Yep,
that's
absolutely.
like my least favorite, that we don't really do that, but it is kind of an option. I will say the snowball effect is real. Once you get things going, and then once that gets kind of blown up on social media, and then other people see it happening, it's kind of how, like, this is heavily inspired by Creative Mornings. If you're familiar with Creative Mornings, I was a part of the Creative Mornings team in Munich. Creative Mornings was started like a long time ago, 2005 or something, but it's such a household name in the creative industry now that I don't think they struggle to really like fill their teams because everybody knows it and kind of wants to be a part of it. So I think the snowball effect is real, but it does take some time to kind of get there and go to 0 for 1. But don't be afraid to like just start small, right? We definitely blew up quickly, but it was a special case. We already had a pretty engaged community to begin with. I realize that a lot of companies, maybe the new company you're joining might not have anyone. So it's going to be more difficult. So don't expect to go from 4 meetups a month to 20 in a matter of 4 months. I realize we are a special case, but you can prepare for that with all of the takeaways, right? But at least try to start small and then go from there. Does that help answer your question?
Thank you. No, it's great.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Feedback and other efforts to be community led. Yeah. So feedback is also one that we're trying to like improve. Right now we have feedback surveys go after every single event, every single meetup. It's a super simple form they can fill out. We check that as a team every single week, starting to use ChatGPT to help me understand what are the insights and recommendations. And that's literally, we are iterating on this program every single week. Literally every single week, we have a new idea of how we can make it better or something we can stop doing, something we can start doing. It comes directly from these feedback loops. So for example, a couple weeks ago, we saw some trends of, hey, I would like to, this was actually a couple months ago. I love the meetup, but it'd be great if there was more guided kind of like networking and discussion. So we created an icebreaker guide and like a networking discussion guide, and we give that to our organizers before their meetup so that they can facilitate something like that. That's just an example. So after every event, after every meetup, there's always a form. I know we can do things to like automate it going into ChatGPT and automatically sending us insights every week. We just haven't set that up yet. And then we also send a survey to our ambassadors twice a year. Well, we will do it twice a year. And then all community members once a year at the end of the year, we send a big survey. Basically just like anyone that's been active at ADPList at an event or in the product in the past year, we send a survey.
That was my question also, so thank you.
Yeah, I saw that. And also, Erin, we can chat anytime. So feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to hear more about your new adventure. And yeah, please, we can chat. I can dive deep into the Notion stuff too with you, as I know you're big into that. Okay, I think we only have another minute. So
we are at time.
Okay, awesome.
You were
Thank
awesome.
you.
Thank you so much, Lizzie. This was great. And thanks everyone for tuning in. The festival continues. I'll have 2 more sessions later on. Maybe I'll see you there. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Amazing.
And Lizzie, appreciate you. Thank you so much for all your insights.
Thank you. Oh, one of our ambassadors joined. Hi, Sally. Thank you guys so much. Have a great rest of your day, evening. Good luck with the rest of the conference. Thanks so much for joining.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
Thanks.